everyone, this is Kelly with Best Denton County and our next episode of What's Up Denton County. And I am here with Ray David, who is the president of Point Bank, our local community bank. So say hello, Ray.
Hello, Kelly. How are you doing?
And we are here because you guys are just one of the very few true community banks. And for those of you watching, tell us what a community bank really is.
You know, it's defined typically by a bank that's charters held a particular area to begin with, which means investors in the bank are all from a particular area. Usually they're not over in size. I mean, nationally they'll define it under 10 billion, but really if you want to get the true sense of a community bank, usually it's $1 billion and under to $2 billion and under to a certain size. Usually all the employees are usually very vested in the community they're in, so there's a real return to the community from the bank, far more from just financially, but socially. There was actually, I had an opportunity to testify in front of the Texas Finance Committee about this, and one thing that came up in the discussions with them was the impact that just the employees from a community bank, because most community banks serve it on various boards for charities and advice for different, even small businesses in their area. And it lends a power of thought and understanding to help those organizations that if the community bank didn't exist, they wouldn't have that kind of thought necessarily available from the community, because a lot of people, especially if you have a job in downtown Dallas or something, you may live in an area, you don't have the time to serve on the board for charity and things like that.
Well, it's not usually as important to a corporate, a huge big corporate bank. They look at bottom line and, if an employee is out at this networking group, what's my return on investment, where you can't always see that. Investing in your community is something you just have to trust is going to, to obviously support your business with that.
And typically, if you look at charity events that are going on, and you look at the logos on the posters of sponsoring, it is not very often you're going to see a larger bank and even large regionals. Occasionally, they have their projects they get involved with, but it's typically a community bank that's giving back in that arena. And so it's time, talents, and money that a community bank puts back into the community they're in. So that's what kind of defines it as a community bank.
Right.
The ownership is another thing that's critical. When you look at the ownership of a community bank, our profits are going back to shareholders in our area. Right. And that means our profits are being spent in our area, which expands the economy of our area. If you're with a regional bank or a large bank, those profits are going out to large investments, to New York City and other areas, and not returning to the best interest of our economy at all.
And the thing I really want to point out is that when we're talking about community, letting people who, obviously if you bank here, you understand what a community bank means. And obviously that's like the official kind of phrase. To me, it means like you guys really are at every event. You will, every charity, whether, you will listen to the charity and see if there's something you can do. You hold networking groups in each one of your locations that brings community and business owners together to really help, network and grow their business. So that's so important, and it's such a great thing that no other bank that I've seen does.
Well, it's a very fulfilling part of the job. I'll tell you, in my previous life, I was a forensic accountant for 10 years, and I really enjoyed the excitements of that job, but at the end of the day, there wasn't nearly that fulfillment. In this job, I guess if I had to sum it up, we're about a win-win, and we're a win-win for everyone involved, whether it's our giving rewards on our debit cards to the consumer customers that then actually partners in with the businesses, so they win through the whole transaction, to where someone comes in. Just this last week, I've had 2 people consult with me specifically about new businesses they want to start up with and what that looks like, what financing looks like, and some ideas of people they want to talk to. And we get to be that networking, that resource to guide people in the community to help them out to a large extent. You'll find typically a larger bank will get your stuff together, come see me, where we actually get the opportunity to do that. And there's nothing more fulfilling than consulting someone and driving by and seeing it when it comes into full fruition. And sometimes also knowing that person that when you did consult and the answer was no, you really don't need to do this, and they thank you years later because of the opportunities that they have available to them now.
Right.
And as a community banker, we get the opportunity to work one-on-one and make it a win-win, because basically our growth comes off the growth of our customers. So it is a win-win. Where it's our Buzz product, like I was speaking, that if you have a debit card with us.
I was going to say, tell us more about it. You guys probably, if you're watching, you see signs out, you see them on doors, and it's the Buzz Point, it's a cute little bumblebee. But that it really represents so much more. So tell us a little bit about the Buzz Points reward.
We call it a win-win-win, because we win because it puts us as a separation from other banks and having a product like this. Our customers win because they get rewards using debit cards.
Right.
Most people have rewards on their credit cards, not on their debit cards. This is a debit card system. And then the win is the merchant. And the real thing is it's a joint marketing relationship with merchants that are part of this program. For us, we give points out on everybody that uses a sign transaction. We want to encourage sign. There's less fraud. They get less information on you on a sign. When someone has your PIN, the fraud scores allow a fraudster ability to take a lot more money, so we're kind of encouraging the sign side, so we give the points away on sign. And the merchant gets the ability to do a loyalty reward because they can choose. We have merchants that give up to 10 points back per transaction. We have, typically it's a couple of points per transaction that they do. And it allows, per dollar of the transaction. And so it allows them a chance to reward them. And in conjunction, we have in-branch marketing that goes with that, showing that they're part of our program, as well as an online portal and online marketing. And the truth of the matter, what's neat is marketing, you can track it. You know the spend, if the customer came into your business from this program because it tracks it back through our program. And very few marketing programs have that ability to track like that. So it's a win-win-win. I got to tell you, I was very fortunate. The individual that I got to work with putting that together was also the individual that installed the internet in the White House and ran it under Bill Clinton and George Bush's George Bush, then Bill Clinton's administration. And so he said it's interesting.
He knows what he's doing.
And he has some interesting stories. And he also is the guy that basically developed the first internet banking system for community banks to offer out there. So I really got a really wonderful opportunity to work with some really neat people helping put that product together. So we actually are part of the pioneering on that.
Well, and what I love about it is, there's a lot of loyalty programs out there, but none of them go back to the local retailer. In Denton County, that's what we love about this county is, we all support local business. If there is something we can buy from someone locally versus a big box store, we will always go that route. And you focus and give that opportunity to the small, medium-sized local business in the area.
Yeah, specifically, we do have some travel. We have like hotel.coms on there, and I believe a couple of the airlines. With the exception of those to have the travel access card, all others is the merchants part of the program or who the gift certificates are redeemed back at their local businesses.
And have fun. If you're going to do it anyway, you might as well get points. I know I've had restaurant certificates and it's just free money, so I love that. We're obviously thankful for everything you do in the community. It means a lot because everything you do actually goes back to help us right here in Denton County.
And we kind of scraped on a little bit, but one thing that we want to let everybody know about, and once again, there's even a video on our site about it, is our networking breakfast.
Yes,
we're very excited about our award on the best networking event, and it really is amazing. It keeps growing on itself, and basically, we try to make sure that if someone has gotten up to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning, that it's worth their time in doing so. And so I always kind of have a little slogan, it's a good day when I learn something. And I myself enjoy coming to these things because I usually learn something. We use many of its speakers from people just lending their knowledge from their business. But sometimes it's professional speakers we bring in on a subject that people want, or people have contacted us and they've heard about our event and say, hey, can we speak? So I will tell you, most of the time people will walk out here saying, wow, it's a great morning because of that. If nothing else, you've got a great opportunity before we let the speaker speak. We get around, everybody gets their 30-second commercial basically in the room, so everybody gets to speak what's going on in their business. A lot of charity events show up, tell us what's going on there. But it's a great way to find out about your community, be plugged in your community, and just know what's going on in other businesses in your community.
And that is really important. I'm glad we went back to that because, it is business owners are busy and they don't have a lot of time. So when you're able to, pack in networking and learning, in the same hour with a bunch, you fill it up because sometimes you can go to networking events and you're like, oh great, I got up and there's 5 people here and I know them all. But there's always different people and you don't have to bank at Point Bank to attend. And I think that's a big thing people need to know is they welcome everyone to come into the networking. Again, you don't have to bank with them. That's just something they do for you. Where, if someone's watching and they want to find out more about, because each location kind of has its own networking group and has different speakers that come, is there a certain place you would direct them to go to find out?
Of all places, our Facebook page is
probably
that's the quickest and easiest, and it gets the easiest ability for you to share with other people as well. What's occurred there. Our website has a calendar that has it on there as well.
I think most people like going to Facebook though to find that type of stuff out.
And once you attend or just call a branch, we can get you on our email system as well. That we'll get an invitation out to you.
Perfect. So if you guys are out there watching and you want to get more information on the networking that Point Bank provides, just go to their Facebook page. Tell us what your Facebook is. Is it just facebook.com/pointbank? I'm sure if you look it up that way, you'll find it that way.
My Point Bank.
Oh, My Point Bank. That's right. I should know that. But it's My Point Bank. You can get all the information on the networking events. Please share them, especially if you're not a business owner, but you know of a business owner. We'd appreciate it if you shared this with them, because I really think it's important for everyone to get connected with that.
And a guy that attends regularly at Denton, because if you're nervous about giving the commercial about you, he actually, what he does for a living is help coach people into their 30-second elevator speeches.
I think everyone.
So there's
can
someone
do
to help
that,
you with what you got or need to
right.
confidently and get the best out of it.
And I've attended them myself, and what I like about it is, if you haven't gone to something like this, especially if you're a newer business, of course it's nervous. I feel like everyone that walks into a networking event, you immediately become the 12-year-old new at middle school, and everyone's just so nice. I mean, they really kind of right from the door, they greet you. It's not like you're kind of poking around like the awkward person at a dance. You guys make sure your whole crew is here at each location to kind of introduce themselves, to get people to show them their way around, and to kind of just buddy up with them. One of the things I really want people to understand, though, with a community bank is sometimes they may not think that as a smaller bank you have all the services and capabilities of a big bank. But frankly, that's not true at all, because as a smaller bank you're more in touch with things and you can move faster. So a lot of times you're ahead of the technology curve, where some of the big banks can't make these decisions. So tell us a little bit about that.
We're more nimble. You are correct. And on the technology level, we also have had the opportunity to work with a company, one of the largest check imaging companies in the world, to help develop our online banking services.
Right.
And because of that, we've had a rare opportunity that most community banks really don't get. We actually have gotten to design our own product. And as customers come in and tell us, gee, why doesn't it do this? We actually have the opportunity to put it into a checklist to get done.
Wow.
So we actually do get to customize that more. Not like any programming, it can take 90 days to 6 months, but we have that opportunity. Typically, most community banks, credit unions are locked into, I bought this box is all I get,
right.
And it is what it is. We do have a rare opportunity to be ahead there. We're also a little more nimble because of our size. We can test out features that sometimes a larger bank, even to do,
right.
One market is so huge, they have too much at risk, where we have a little where we can control it and quickly get our pulse on it and quickly
Yep.
react if there's some issues when we're trying to roll out more advancements to it. Can't say we're always ahead of the big guys, but we're not far behind typically.
It's always been a big part of you guys. Like, technology is something that I know you guys are always working on. You're always investigating to see. So I think as far as, just even knowing what's coming down the pipeline, you guys are, probably more ahead because, again, you're able to be more nimble, like you mentioned.
Especially when you're working with programmers, I can tell you that beyond that, some of the technologies you do get to share and purchase from the same buyers as the large institutions. When it came to the deposit at the ATMs, I think we were 2 weeks behind Wells Fargo.
Wow.
That's how close we were to the marketplace, in touch with it. I pride myself, I go to a lot of different banking conferences
Right.
that specifically have elements that talk about fintech and what's coming down the line. There's some very advanced banks that are on the back out on the West Coast of all places that I watch what they're doing. So I try to make sure that we're try not to be bleeding edge, but we do bleed a little
Right.
bit because of some of the technology we put out there. But at least on the very leading edge, that at no time does someone feel deficient because they've chose to bank with a bank. Instead, I've had people that, after they've opened an account here from a large bank, said, I had no idea this can do this, this, and this. I couldn't do that on my
Right.
app there.
Well, and we obviously talked to some of your clients before we did the interview, and the thing that we heard, especially from the small businesses in the area, that Point Bank is different than the big banks because of the fact that, if I have a small business or a medium-sized business and I need a loan or I need help with something, you actually understand the community, you understand that this, particular idea will or will not work here, and you're not just a checklist. Sometimes a small business or someone wanting to open a business will come in and, at a bigger bank, it's, somebody's just got this checkbox and it's, you either meet the criteria or you don't, where you guys actually hear the story and you go through more of and you consult with it, which I love.
And along those lines, we have a video series we're posting up on our line, kind of similar to what you're doing here with some of our customers, and they can kind of tell the stories of what that process looked like. One we do know our market. We do know what works in our market. We also know the individual. We know the individual's background. We get to
Right.
dig a little deeper than basically bank by numbers.
Yeah, because not everything's black and white with a small business. I mean, if you're doing a certain type of business and the individual is well networked, or they just have a lot more depth than just a checklist.
Exactly.
And we constantly heard about the fact that you consult, not like outside of anything that has to do with Point Bank, you guys are great at saying, hey, you mentioned this when we were talking and you need to contact this person, or, you really become a business consulting group, just as, whether they even do business with you or not. I hear that consistently.
There is a lot of that. And a lot of our bankers have spent time on different committees with cities and
Right.
things like that, so they know the ins and outs sometimes to help our customers. I mean, we don't want to take liability of being the manager of the project in any ways or a legal stance, but we can tell them people they can connect
Right.
with to get done what they need to get done.
Yeah, because I mean, as a small business, especially a newer one, you don't always know who to connect with. So at least having a start, while you saying, here, there's a couple people that do that, you can go contact. That's a huge advantage that you're not going to get when you walk into a big bank.
And sometimes we know the market too. I've had one issue of a customer I was dealing with recently. They brought a plan to me. I said, this is a beautiful plan, but you're going to work twice as hard to make the same money because the price per square foot you're trying to make this work
Right.
at. And for your type of business, you probably can do good just a few miles across town as well. And this is your rent. Well, they had no idea that they did not know, because that wasn't their bailiwick, what rent differences were around a particular city. I said, oh yeah, there's different markets that have different things. So I'm not saying this won't work for you, because looking at it will, but you might be a lot happier with the results here.
Just suggestions. I
Yep.
mean, who doesn't appreciate knowledgeable suggestions, and then being able to get plugged in with other people that can then give you more information on that. So we wouldn't be able to sit here with you and not talk about Best of Denton County and all of the fun covers you have done in the past. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the covers, but you can go onto the Best of Denton County website and see them. And what I've always loved, obviously consumers see it and they're fun, and he does a different idea every year. But really what I want people to understand is all the people that you bring in to the photo shoots every year are, other top 3 or winners, but they're also clients too. So you share the spotlight with everyone else.
We ran the first cover, and it was a lot of fun. And that was kind of a family shoot. If you can see the original one, it's my dad and my brother in the picture with me as well. And it really was how that went down. It came out great.
It did.
And we were trying to decide what would we do thereafter from that. And we just had this idea, why don't we once again make this a win-win across the board, and bring other people in with this as well, especially if they're being interested to see them in there as well. And it made it a lot of fun.
It did.
And there's an element of a thematic costuming that comes with it. And when I lived in Houston for about a decade, and there is the largest furniture store in Texas with one location.
Really?
And his guy started in the back of a trailer, basically. It was Jim McElveen, I believe his name is, Mattress Mac. And I got to hear him speak a couple of times, and he literally made his business dressing him and his son up in a mattress and jumping around on TV waiting
you gotta
money.
stand out nowadays.
And he goes, he goes, but people knew who he was.
Right.
And it didn't mean they wouldn't respect him as a businessman, because now he speaks wildly about of all the things that's accomplished. He's been to China and met with the leaders there and everything else for his company, and built that off of that. And it showed that you can make it fun. And of course, Herb Callahan, the CEO of Southwest, he used to dress up on Fridays just to come in and surprise employees. So we do have a little bit of element around here like that. We thought it was a lot of fun to bring that as a cover
They do.
as
People
well.
every year we get asked all the time, like, what are they going to do next? And I always say, I don't know, but I'm sure they'll do something fun. And it really has been, like, your customers that bank with you have a lot of business customers. They just think that's so nice that you would take that spotlight and then showcase them. And I think it's just one more thing that just kind of you didn't do as a marketing thing. You just kind of did it because you thought it was fun, and now it's turned into something that really means a lot to the clients, and of course the average reader in Denton County just can't kind of wait to see it. So
it is a lot of
thank you
fun
for that. What else would you like to? Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to talk about that you can think of, or any? I know that we had talked about security issues. That's a big thing in banking right now. Anything that you can think of that comes to mind for Denton County residents anyway?
The Denton County residents, it's basically always kind of, it used to be back in the day, we always got our checkbook, we balanced our checkbook every month. And now with internet banking, so many people just look at their accounts online.
Right. Yeah. see, this community bank. People are like, hey, oh, hey, Morris. You should come in, say hi.
You know, the one thing that everyone's gotten kind of very lax about looking at their accounts sometimes because
Right.
internet banking and, I mean, very few people actually open their statements when they get them. And the one thing I would encourage is very periodically check your account.
Yeah.
For transactions on your account that are making sure they're yours, because there is, with debit cards out there these days, like I said earlier, we try to encourage people to sign, because if someone gets your PIN, well, there is a system in fraud that looks at transactions on debit card, but it's a fraud score, and it takes a look at what's the likelihood this transaction's fraud. There are particular vendors out there that have higher fraud scores, distance from where you normally live at, distance from last transaction. There can be a lot of things that'll play off this card, and specifically that you've been at a business that's been a higher risk recently will change your scores.
Okay.
But the biggest thing that changes the two scores is if you use a PIN, the score drops. And unfortunately, that allows more fraud to come in on a PIN transaction
Right.
because of that. If someone gets your PIN and they've got that, the fraud is tremendously, and they get a lot of money out. Sign doesn't allow that to occur as much because the fraud is protecting them more. And when you sign, they don't have your PIN to go to
Right.
the ATM machine and take money out of your account.
Yeah.
So we do encourage people to use signature transactions because it's a safer way of protecting yourself a little bit more from that having that line. Although you are protected, especially on the consumer side, about if you do have a theft, don't fret.
Right.
And some people aren't like this. You don't have to carry a lot of insurance. The reason you carry insurance for theft ID is to help you with what it takes to get it done.
Right.
Because it's still a pain.
Yeah.
And even though you get your money back, the process you got to go through, the things this person's doing to you, the downline effects to you,
Absolutely.
to your time, it is.
Well, it's an emotionally draining
It
process
is.
on top
And,
of that. Now, tell us about all your locations in Denton County, too, because sometimes people know the one they bank with or the one they see on their way to work, but they don't realize you have multiple locations.
Yeah, we're 9 branches stretched across the county. I'll tell you a little history of the bank.
Yeah.
We were there. It's kind of fun. There's an annual in Austin that actually has us listed as 1852. I cannot claim that. They actually listed us at one time as the oldest bank in the state of Texas.
That's really cool.
Our records can only go back to, I had a historian tell me in Denton County he had a record of 1881. Unfortunately, he passed away before he ever got me that document. I've got documents of 1884 as to when we actually purchased land in Powell Point. It still makes us one of the oldest banks in Texas, even
Right.
at that rate that's still in existence
Well,
continually.
especially family owned and operated. I mean, that's every
Well,
year seems to get fewer and fewer. Like
We're community owned.
We're community owned.
We're
Sorry.
family run.
Family
We're
run.
family run, but we do, and our
Yeah.
family does have a significant ownership, but I
Yeah.
can't say that we're over 50%, so I
Right.
can't say that we're the family owned yet. But we definitely do have a family influence, there's no question.
Absolutely.
But it basically started as Pilot Point National Bank, and a lot of people realize is back in the day, Pilot Point was one of the largest towns in North Texas. It was a
Really?
crossroad town for the wagon trails as they came across and the wagon trains. And basically, as county seats got established and Denton got the county seat and more business had to be conducted around the county seat, things kind of drained down. And then Dallas became the big crossroad town that it did because the railroads that came through there. Pilot Point lost its significance, but it's why our original charter is
Was
there.
that?
And we slowly, when they allowed branch banking, started moving through the county and found out that Pilot Point doesn't mean anything. A national bank doesn't mean a lot to you when you come down through the county. So we knocked off the Pilot and the National and became Point Bank.
Right.
And then we've kind of grown our charters, our branches since then. We're located in Pilot Point, Aubrey, Texas. You come down into Denton, and we have 2 locations, one in Argyle, Texas. We have one in Little Elm, Texas. We also have what we call our Lake Cities branch.
Right.
It's technically Corinth, but it's right there amongst
Yeah.
the cities there. Then we get into the branch we're here today, is
Right.
Flower Mound and Louisville.
And what I love about all the banks is, again, they're not stuffy. You can come in here. You saw on this video when people are coming in, people that are here know each other. It really feels like a bank from back in the day. Not that I was hopefully back in the day then, but where you can come in and talk. I mean, you have a nice environment. You will often see people just, kind of sitting around chatting because they run into everyone at the local bank, which is fun.
And it does cause a problem sometimes because we do take a pride in getting to know our customers, especially if you're in here on a regular basis, getting to know
Right.
you by name. And people walk into the branch and they asked for my ID. Well, of course they did. You don't go in
Right,
that branch
yeah.
every day. And so they had to ask for it. So we have to warn our customers. It is because we know you and because we
Right.
remember you. When you go somewhere else, you got to go there a couple of times. You'll get the exact
You'll
same
get the
thing.
exact, yeah, but I mean, it's nice to know, and I really we have so many people moving into the county, and they're coming, of course, from other states to, if you are moving here from, different areas, really check out Point Bank here. If you're looking to get invested in the community as far as networking or just, just getting to know people in the area, check them out before you make your banking decisions, because they really do a lot for our community, and it's, worth checking out. If if you've moved from California, you haven't heard of them, I think it's definitely worth the time to come in and talk to them. And the last thing I want to talk about is...
Let me throw one more thing back on security. Something I missed earlier. On our online banking app, there's actually the ability to set up alerts on your account. So if you don't go and look at it on a regular basis, it will tell you when you've had transactions come in the account. And that's a wonderful thing. But you do have to go in and set up, because you tell the limits you want to, you tell how much you want to be annoyed by your own information.
Kind of like the grading system for your kids. You can set up the...
If they fall below this, let me know.
Fall below this.
Yes. It allows that. And also, there are numbers on your card, or if you don't have your card to understand, to call in because you've lost it, you can actually go in on and sign up to turn your card off too.
Oh, okay.
And so that's a possibility. We usually encourage you to use the number on the card or call our call center, and it'll guide you through to the number automatically if you should lose your card or have a theft.
And when you say turn it off, does that mean like I can turn it off and then say a day later I find it, I don't have to go through the whole hassle of, I've already canceled my card and now I've got a new one, I can just kind of turn it back on.
Yes.
But after a couple of days, if it's not, I can kind of go through the whole not lengthy process, but it's a little time consuming to get a brand new card.
Yep.
I did not know that. I didn't know you could turn your card off here, so that's pretty cool with that.
Yeah, and I never thought about that, Sandy, because I tend to leave my cards in my pockets. And when I wear that vest again, there's my card.
Yeah, well, it just happens, or you change, change purses. You probably don't do that, but it's just one of those things with that. And the last thing is, we have obviously in Denton County a huge student population. Obviously in Denton, we've got TWU, we've got UNT, we've got even NCTC in the area. And you guys are really well known in the student population, which I think is important because you've got all these kids. I've got a college-age daughter out there now, and they don't know a whole lot of banking. That they're moving away from home, and it's so nice because students come in and they, mom said, "Hey, go to the bank and ask this question." And you guys actually take the time to help them understand what's going on. You're not annoyed when a kid comes in and has an issue with that.
Well, we believe it starts young. We have what we call piggy pal accounts.
Piggy pal.
Yes, the kids get a little prize and they bring in their piggy pal and dump it out, their change, and put the money in their account. So we believe it does start young, and we're happy to take that college student that comes to the door. I'd say most of it comes in about the high school level,
right?
But even we do have fun. We love seeing them bring the little piggy banks in.
Oh, that's awesome. And I just think it's so nice because, a lot of course, banks will accept anyone's money, but they don't prefer to have that, because it takes time and energy and all that. But you guys actually encourage it. You encourage the college kid. You encourage the high school kid. And, you just really mentor them if they have questions. You don't make them feel awkward about it.
It may get a little technical, but one reason probably a community bank does have that is when some of the larger banks, they run on such efficiency numbers of so many transactions coming through, it's so fast that they don't want the transaction that lasts that long in lobby. Well, in our case, we're not busting at the seams on time, so we had time to slide them in between. It doesn't affect that efficiency at all from that standpoint. That's why we get to take a little more time and work with our people a little more.
Right, and nowadays I think that's so important. People want that connection from everything. And, you just want to talk to someone. How nice is it that if I have a question, I can come in and just ask it. One of the things I really love, and I think this is very, very unique to not only banks, but to most, corporate environments now, is if I have a question, I can call the number and I get an actual person. Tell me about that. That is hard to get these days.
We are unique, but we did dedicate, we're going to have a customer service department, and that's specifically what they do. They take the telephone calls, and they're also available Saturday mornings as well to help out with any problems that you might have. And they'll probably be able to handle most any problem you've got. Occasionally, you just may feel like you've got that banker you need to talk to, and that's okay. Our bankers are here for you, but sometimes our bankers have a customer, so this is a quicker way of handling it, but it is a real Denton County, not a foreign country, telephone service.
Well, and it's so nice because, again, it's very frustrating to most people to call into a call center for many reasons, but outside of it, sometimes you don't even know what your problem is. You just know you have a problem, and you really need someone to talk to ask the right questions to figure out what it is. And, I think that's, so important. And, people can even get a hold of you. Tell me about that. That never happens. How many banks can you call if you have an issue, actually speak to the president?
There might be one or two other small ones in North Texas, but other than that, typically you're not going to get the president. And Literally, when we have a customer complaint or problem, okay. This doesn't usually happen when my phone is this close to my watch, but it's dinged all morning long.
Is there a customer
normally when
calling
the
you?
phone is close to the watch.
That would have been good. There's one now.
And typically, we have a customer issue a customer complaint. Most customers will receive a little note card from me, giving them my number that if it wasn't him and that they're not satisfied, I am happy to say that most of the calls I get off that, now I say most, I mean 90% of the calls I get are people thanking me for how well our people did taking care of their issues.
Well, yeah, and I think again that goes back to when you live here and you shop here and you're involved in the community, you just naturally want to do a better job, and so do your employees because they're also shopping at the grocery store with your clients. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure again you check out their Facebook page, their website. Lots more information out there, and hopefully you stop by a branch nearby. And we will see you soon.